Welcome everyone who has joined so far. Today, who doesn't know, I am Dagnarama from Silva Hunt, and I'm doing the sales here. Silva Hunt is basically a premium service provider for e-residents who want to form a company in Estonia, who want to have help with accounting, tax and legal advising, but not only do we help with the tax parts in Estonia, but also we do international tax advising. So if you have any cross-border questions about cross-border taxation, we got your back. And also we offer networking events. So this is just a gist of what Silva Hunt is about. If you're curious, we are super open for you to connect on LinkedIn or at info@silvahunt.ee. But today's topic is startups and why to form a startup in Estonia. If you have so many choices nowadays, where to form your startup, how to do it, what's the most efficient way, and if you have a distributed team, if you have people all over the world and you want to do it the fastest way possible, what is the best way? We're going to offer you one solution, which is Estonia, so you can get some kind of an overview, an idea of how it works. And we have gathered here people who have experience with e-residency and who have actually done stuff in real life that can say, you know, how it actually works. But before we start, I would like to get this term out of the way, which is e-residency. So I don't expect everyone to know about it. E-residency, what it is basically a digital ID, which has been issued to a non-resident or a non-citizen of Estonia, who can give a digital signature, and thanks to that, can access the Estonian e-services. So, but to do today's guests, our first speaker, our guest is Emily Chichoy. Hope I said it right. He is an e-resident and a startup founder, a startup called Bloom Coding. And yeah, Emil, tell us more about what does Bloom Coding do and how did you hear about Estonia even?
All right, thank you. So Bloom Coding is a digital coding school for kids. What we do is we help parents future-proof their children. We equip them with 21st century skills such as coding, but also we help children learn how to work in teams, how to communicate, how to be better leaders for the workforce of tomorrow. So we've been, at the beginning, incorporated in a different country. And our quest for incorporation led us to Estonia. Now, we are from Moldova, so Estonia wasn't a new concept idea for us. Estonia felt like a similar brother country, ex-Soviet, post-Soviet country that has essentially done it, like a successful startup founder that is some steps ahead. So I looked around for potential solutions for our incorporation needs, and Estonia came up as the best thing in the world by far. And that's how we got here.
Wow, that's awesome to hear. You have so big words about Estonia. Like, what was the process like? How was it to even establish a company here?
Wow, you wouldn't actually believe if I tell you that it takes less time, effort, resources to register a company from Moldova in Estonia than a company in Moldova, being in Moldova. So imagine that. It takes less time, resources, and effort to register a company in a different country than the one you are in. So that was an interesting thing. Estonia definitely wins in the speed of registering category. It was very easy. Applying for e-residency didn't take a lot of effort. It was a couple of clicks. I think my grandma can do it. The website is really clear. And within just 1.5 months of waiting, I was invited to the embassy to pick up my residency card. And then within 24 hours, I had my company. So the idea is that it takes the time to wait is basically the e-residency, right? But once you have it, there is no time. Everything happens so fast. It can happen in a day. And that's the best part. So we registered the company, we got our bank account running, up and running, and we never ever visited Estonia as well to do any of these things. Everything was done remotely. And that's also a really great part about this.
What are some of the challenges, just to give an idea to me, what are the challenges in Moldova and the other places you've done business in, like in terms of registering or like managing the business?
Of course. So, well, in Moldova, there is so many challenges. In fact, I think there is no time today to simply talk about all the challenges around incorporation in Moldova. I think they've done quite a lot of progress lately to simplify the process, but it still takes at least 3 days and a couple visits and a lot of signatures, and you have to be in 3 places in the city. And if you want to do that by yourself, you have better be spending 6 hours online finding any guides, anything out there that teaches you how to do it, or you're screwed. So the process in Moldova is pretty hard. And then compare that to Estonia, where, well, in the first place, you can find partners like Silverhand to help you with incorporation, but at the same time, it's just so easy, and it takes a couple clicks online, and that the difference is quite striking.
Yeah, when it comes to, for example, have you already done the annual reporting as well? How is that in Moldova? Do you need to like mail all the papers physically?
It was like that not too long ago, but now it's done digitally.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not too complicated. In fact, it's pretty easy now. But yeah, it was like that before.
Well, before we got some questions for this discussion today, or our webinar, and one of the main questions that e-residents have actually is getting a bank account. And I want to know, how did you solve it, and what solution are you using, Emil?
We're using an Estonian-based solution called Wise, formerly TransferWise. It was very easy to set up this account. It took us, again, a couple business days. We did it all online. And yeah, it was up and running in no time. And the bank is awesome. I would prefer this bank, of course, a fintech innovation, a startup, to traditional banks. There's just so much more that they provide to startups and digital companies that a traditional bank cannot. I do really recommend Wise because of that reason. If you are to register in Estonia, Wise is definitely a very good option.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and in terms of the services you have already used online, I understand, of course, company formation. What other e-services have you used thanks to e-residency?
We have used the notaries services thanks to e-residency. We also accessed the community that e-residency provides, the community that is behind the groups on the social media, and all the resources that are behind e-residency online. Specifically, not sure if there's a direct connection, but the startup resources that the model startup resources that were really helpful as well.
Could you give an idea? Do you mean like the templates for agreements?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Great that you mentioned the startup resources. Just to mention that Estonia has a startup database where you can check out all the startups that Estonia has. So if you're an investor interested, what's going on and what does the scene look like, then you can go and check it out. Ask me on LinkedIn, maybe a link. or afterwards this webinar. But if you have any questions about the Estonian startup scene, feel free to put the questions in the chat or to LinkedIn comments. We will be looking out for those. But tell me, are you also leveraging or have you also used any accelerators or Startup Estonia? I know has a lot of programs or events that help people. So what's your experience with the Estonian startup ecosystem, basically?
It's wonderful. It is amazing. I love it. I've made so many great connections in the past year within Estonia. In fact, I visited Estonia for a conference, a startup conference this August, and built so many connections with all these ecosystem players. There's so much, the landscape in Estonia is so huge in terms of late stage startups. And therefore, there's a lot of experience to access, and a lot of that experience and capital goes back to early stages. So I think this is a very thriving, vibrant community, and it's very international as well. It's very global, and there's a lot of potential, a lot of opportunity that one can access by building network and relationships in the Estonian startup ecosystem. And that has been our experience so far.
Is there any kind of advice you would give someone who is not an e-resident already and just thinking about starting a startup? What would you have liked to know before doing this?
Yeah. If there would be a country incorporation comparison, like Capterra for startup SaaS softwares, I believe that Estonia would be by far, by a lot of degrees, the best out there, the best in class. And I think no one does a comparison like that, but I did, I checked. So I can tell you wholeheartedly that there is no other place that is better. Why I believe that's the case? There's really mainly two reasons. One is if you are looking for capital efficiency, then Estonia can provide a really advantageous tax regime that is, you don't get taxed on your profits. So if you're profitable and you retain them in the company, you can use that to grow faster than you would normally do in another country, incorporated somewhere else. And then I think that's wonderful. And that's also what enabled Bloom Coding to bootstrap effectively in the beginning, using that little cash that we had in profit to reinvest it back in. And then the second reason is really how digitized everything is. It was quite a cultural shock for me and my co-founder to attend a virtual notary meeting and sign everything online, whereas in Moldova it is expected to be in the office, and there's no preconception that it can ever be online, and it has been done already. And I was shocked by this, and the degree of digitization is so advanced that it can figure out anything really with not really a lot of resources and investment in legal counsel, and really everything is easy to figure out in Estonia. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good to know. But just to mention to all the startup founders or potential startup founders out there who are not living in the European Union, it's good to know that Estonia has a startup visa program. So if you have an MVP already and a team, then you can apply, and you will need to be you will need to get the startup status first, and then you can apply for a visa as well and get workers here too. So there is a really great opportunity here if you're interested. And other thing, what I'd like to mention, what our clients are leveraging is actually when they are a startup founder, or even not a founder, but just an investor, then they also can create the holding company. So if a startup wants to make an exit one day, then it's more advantageous to have a holding rather than to hold the startup shares as an individual, because you will get taxed more or right away. But as a holding, you can reinvest the profits and grow them inside of the company. So that's just a great tip for you there. And if you want to know more about it, I would be happy to share it afterwards in a one-to-one call with any one of you. But now to our next speakers, our guests, Rosen and Federico from Emerald Foundry. Hello. It's so nice to have you. Yes, hello.
Dagne, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. They are both e-residents, by the way, as well, and they are board members of ERICA, the e-residents association or network. So please, Federico, maybe start out by saying who is Emerald Foundry?
Thank you, Dagne. So Emerald Foundry is substantially a business management consultancy. So we help other entrepreneurs grow their business and get their business straight so that they can, at some point, even access external resources and grow even faster. Our vision of the world is basically that we would like to support a more location independent and entrepreneurial future. We really believe this is the direction the world is going into, and we fully support that. And that's the reason why we are e-residents. Because actually the residency is a great platform in this respect. So it gives you all the tools and all the institutional framework, let's say, that you need to have for that. So yeah, it's definitely great in this respect. And awesome. Yeah, so basically, as I said, what we do is to help, especially other e-resident entrepreneurs, come to Estonia and grow their business there.
Awesome. And Rosen, tell me, who are you in Emerald Foundry, and how do you guys even specifically support startups? For example, like Emil. I know you're helping Emil, so how are you doing it? And yeah.
Thanks for inviting us, and welcome everyone. Like my colleague Federico mentioned, we are there to support each other. And as we are all e-residents, we have gone through this journey by ourselves. So we know that it's not easy, and there is a lot to learn from each other, but also to do for each other. And to this respect, first, as an initial step, we try to analyze the needs of the fellow entrepreneurs that reach out to us, the startups that we're going to provide these services to. And once we clearly establish what their needs are and we confirm with them that these are their needs, then we try to align our services to these needs. And these needs are in the very overall addressed through three basic services. One of them is the prototype program, in which we help the entrepreneurs to deliver an MVP, the minimum viable product. We help them to get pre-order fees paid and customer feedback. Then we help them to develop a viable, sustainable, lean business model. We help them to build a network of potential partners, clients, and investors, and adopt a fundraising strategy to start receiving financing according to that. Then there is for those that have their ideas more mature and validated, for the second stage, for those that are developing the prototype now, there is the Sell and Grow program, in which we help them to design and devise a powerful product roadmap. We help them to increase revenue exponentially while reducing costs. We help them to analyze the sales channels and build new partnerships. we help them with the revision of the financial projections and the adoption and enforcement of a powerful investment strategy, also joining them to the next stages of the investment. And last but not least, for those that are already not just startups, but also scaling up, there is the Scale Up program that supports them with the building of a multifaceted model for the startups that will enable them to transform into a global unicorn business. Unicorns are there in Estonia, and I think there is a chance for more e-resident unicorns to happen. And as they scale up, they definitely will face issues with their operations. So we help them to optimize, reorganize their operations, put everything in place to make sure that they could catch up with the increased demand from the market. To this respect, we help them to boost their organizational culture, devise and enforce different scenarios within the organization, and prepare them for the big multi-million and multi-billion rounds and for the exit. And of course, these are the three basic service packs, the programs, but of course, this is always adjusted according to the specific needs of the startup. And our role there is first to understand where they stand and what they need, confirm this with them. Sometimes also to open eyes with ice cold water poured there. And I know what it is because I've been through this journey myself. And sometimes we don't see the full picture, let's say it in this way, and we romanticize the whole adventure. Like when I was doing my first startup thingy in the US, in the Silicon Valley, I thought, this is great and all the world needs it. And for months, I was really suffering and working on it. And no one needed this, right? In the end of the day, but I really thought that all the world is waking up just thinking about my idea as I was doing it. And it's not always the case. So we need to give arguments and help each other stick to the ground so we can achieve these more realistic goals then.
Yeah, awesome to know that you provide such a large scope of services or help, or like you got Emil's back basically. So you're like a shoulder to cry on, but also like a growth hacker and also like business consultant. So many good things in one body. So tell me, you are focusing specifically on Estonian startups, as I understand. You briefly mentioned that Estonia is a unicorn land. Yes, it is. We already have 10 unicorns, and actually we'll have most unicorns per capita in Europe, which is great news. Is that one of the reasons and what that you chose Estonia to focus on, or what are some of the other things as well?
Yeah, let me take this one, Dagne. So as I was mentioning before, Estonia is a great platform, and yes, it's right that you have already in Estonia the highest percentage of unicorns per capita, and even more, I think that as far as I know, Estonia is the only country where there is an explicit objective of the government of having more unicorns. So this is this tells you a lot about what is even the institutional attention on this topic and how the whole country is actually working to help you grow your business in the end. So that's kind of the key message here. And our focus on e-residency, of course, comes from our own personal experience. Before I did not tell a lot about what is our background and why we are the right guys, let's say, to support you with this in your journey in within Estonia, coming to Estonia and within it. The thing is, beside our, we are three of us. One is myself and Rosen here. We are two. There is one more guy who is actually an American living in Seoul, in South Korea, and that already tells you, gives you a hint about how diverse and how transnational and international a team can be, thanks to your residency. We have our own different backgrounds, from business management to IT, so and project management, everything in between. The real thing is what we developed by being ourselves e-residents in the first place. We actually met through e-residency, by the way, and then decided to work together. Is that Estonia has a great ecosystem. This is something that Emil was mentioning before. So first-hand experience, and we can definitely just reinforce the message here. Estonia, as I said, has an explicit objective of creating more unicorns. It is giving all the possible tools to make things easier and to make it easier to work within their institutional framework. It has a huge ecosystem in terms of universities, accelerators, an investor community, which is pretty vital and vibrant. So there is a network also within the resident participants, let's say, and really that gives you access to a lot of tools, connections, skills, and also money at some point eventually that can help you grow. And this is probably something that when people first get to hear about the residency, do not immediately grasp all this thing that is behind. And I think this is really a great added value of Estonia that no other place gives. There is one more point, if I may add.
Yeah, sure.
Which I think is very interesting for people coming to Estonia, and is actually the Estonians themselves. That's my personal feeling, as I was mentioning before, just at the beginning. Maybe not everyone heard about it. I'm coming from Italy. What I really like is the business culture, let's say, in Estonia, and how people are very easy to deal with and pragmatic. So, and never saying no just for the sake of saying no. So if you speak to an Estonian about an idea that makes some sense, people are usually very keen to look into it, and with a very hands-on approach. And yeah, let's try to do it. Let's see what can work and what not. So this I have to say, I personally like it very much, the way people behave.
Well, I'm honored to hear that as well. I've also noticed that it's Estonians are really straightforward. So if you have an idea, we will tell you what we think. We will not beat around the bush.
Yes, that sometimes might be a cultural shock, I have to say. But on the other hand, as Rosen was mentioning before, I mean, sometimes you also need to hear the hard truth. And okay, there can be ways to maybe say it in a nicer way or not in a nice way, but still, at some point, you need to get to the dry facts. And yeah, so
That might be different, but in the end, if uh, when you acknowledge this difference, you understand that the good intentions that are behind, and the willingness always to be proactive and to move forward somehow.
Yeah, yeah, sure. But you mentioned your like background a bit and e-residency, of course. I have to mention that you guys are really active in the e-residency community. You're members of Erica. Rose, and maybe could you tell me about what is Erica about and how is it helping e-residents?
Yeah, thanks for pointing this out. In fact, as Federico mentioned, this is how we met, and we pitched different ideas in an event organized by the Chamber of E-Residents called Erica. And then naturally, we gathered together to discuss what we could do together. And in fact, what we're doing now was also partially validated by the community around Erica, so other e-residents, because first we got a lot of feedback by fellow e-residents that are active members of Erica or the board, but also we reach out to others that we don't know. And to this extent, the e-residency team of the government of Estonia published about this idea that we are currently working on. And we got feedback by people that we don't know. There are nearly 100,000 e-residents, and many of them just wrote back with their ideas or got interested, that they say, okay, keep us informed how this is going, and maybe we could do something together. But platforms like Erica are a huge pool of people to support each other, I think. First, with their own experience, advice, sometimes telling again this bitter hard truths that we really need to throw it like a giant snowball on someone's head so they would wake up. But it's also the resources that these people have, because within this e-residency community, many of these people have their own companies. These companies, they have their own networks, so they have material, software, things to provide for others to grow. And this is one of the amazing features of the e-residency that I think could grow. And I've, in a personal capacity, I've really insisted on the Estonian government to consider deepening this idea, how they could further use this currently marketing tool, the e-residency, to create a global community of e-residents that will help each other to bring in more market players in this field. Like Silverhound, for example, is an Estonian member of the marketplace of the e-residency. But what would happen if we have many international members of the marketplace? So this naturally increases competition, and then by the rule of the invisible hand in the market, it should expectedly increase the quality of the services that are provided. So this is one importance there. And I'm also a big fan of the e-residency idea, because I come from Eastern Europe, like Emil, and I know how it is to deal with governments in my country. And first time I spoke with the Estonian public officials, with an ambassador, they were so helpful. They were really there to support us and to make this happen. And sadly, in where I come from, it's more like, yeah, call us another time, or they will forget, or they will try to tell you a story that you would feel overwhelmed, like how hard it is, and that you never want to do it, or they would solicit you into some form of bribing, I would say. And in Estonia, it's just the opposite. Like even when you fill up some forms for the government, you could reach out to the help desk and they would help you with everything except for pushing the sign button, right? So it's amazing how friendly Estonians, the government, is for all of these people from all over the world that want to do their business in Estonia.
It's really great to hear that you feel the support. And me as an Estonian, I take it for granted. So you open my eyes like what is not so usual elsewhere. Federico, could you mention about your beginning of e-residency journey? What were some of the challenges you were facing and how did you even find e-residency?
That's an interesting question. I started when residency was very young, actually. So I don't know, I don't remember exactly how I stumbled upon the concept of residency. And the thing is, the moment I read about it, I was like sold immediately. It was just for me, what was very interesting at that time was the concept of relationship between the state and the citizen that was so friendly and so being at the service of the citizen, so somehow. So that was for me just amazing. And so I said, okay, I need to find some reason to actually become a resident so that I can do something with it. Sometime later, I started with the first company I created was actually going in the direction that you, Dagny, were mentioning at the beginning of a holding company. That's actually a very interesting concept and an interesting solution that Estonia is offering because of this reinvestment opportunity in a sense, so that you don't pay taxes on your profits, but you can always reinvest everything. Here, a little indent incident. Be careful with your with international taxation. It can be sometimes tricky, so use the advice of professionals like Silverhand, because yeah, sometimes it can be it needs, let's say, it's not difficult, it needs to be set up properly. So in this respect, always take the advice of some experts on this respect, so that you avoid any risk, let's say, on that side. So the holding company is a great idea to manage your investments, and that was a few years ago already, and now a year and a half ago, more or less. Over time, I grew my participation in the residency community and through Erica as well, and yeah, and that's in the end how I met Rosen and Ian, who is our third partner, and that's how we decided to set up then our what is for me the second company. For them, I don't know, because they have a lot of other startups and everything. So they have a lot of experience already from an entrepreneurial perspective, while I have to be honest, I come from the corporate world until a few months ago. So I have a different perspective on things, let's say. But yeah, so it was all very easy and natural, and it's a huge this network and contacts that you can get, and really what I can say is that in Estonia you take one step, and then the following steps just happen. So you just need to get the chance to
talk to someone or meet someone or read about something, and things happen.
Yeah, things happen for sure. Like I would like to point out that a few years ago, startups, thanks to initiative of startups, there was a law change to involve investors more easily to the startup business structure. So now, if you have 10K share capital and a little line in your articles of association, which says that you don't need to use a notary, then you can involve investors without going to the notary anymore. You can write it to a tissue paper and that's it. So that's how simple it is for startups nowadays. Just like to point that out. If you want to leverage something like that, I think that's an amazing thing. But could you tell us, do you have any networking events coming up with Erica, or how does it work? Like you get together, or what does the support actually look like in Erica? Rosen, you can take this one.
Yeah, I would take the Erica subject again, taking it in rounds. I think first we try to cover different segments of the e-residence community through each of these partners, and of course Erica is one of them. That is the, let's say, most representative, the widest organization of e-residents, and I strongly recommend to everyone that's watching, if you're already e-residents, you could sign up on the erica.ee website. Erica, like the name, but with double E. .ee website for just €5 annual membership, and this could enable you to directly interact with other e-residents. So first, this is the community where we could bring in ideas and validate them, including what we are doing now. But also look for mentors within this community, look for investors within this community. And of course, investors could be e-residents, but also real residents and citizens of Estonia. And now, in fact, the stage in which Emerald is of course, guiding and supporting people like Emil and the amazing startups in the e-residency community. But we have also been approached by business angels and VCs in Estonia to join opportunities for investment in not only Estonian, but also not only e-resident, but fully Estonian startups that are made by Estonians, that are operating physically fully in Estonia and so on. So for us, this is, I would say, a huge sign of openness, how open this ecosystem is. And there is definitely no discrimination. On the other hand, it's also about expectations that are set high to us. So if we want to be sitting on the same investment table with the big investors from Estonia, we have to be the best ones. And this includes the service quality, but also choosing the most promising startup. And just to give an example, like yesterday when we were preparing for this call, I was jumping from one plane to another, and there was the snow. Like, again, I'm saying snow for the third time I speak here, but really, like, flights are so late because of the snow, like 1 hour to clean it up, and then the traffic jam is all disrupted. So I landed from Tallinn to Budapest, where I live now, and I met an Estonian living in Hungary that's doing his business there, and hopefully will invest also in that startup or mentor them or support them one way or another. So this is really one way of doing things, that you get into this flow and things happen naturally. And the more people that you know, the more events that you participate in, the better it is. And to this extent, I must also congratulate Silverhand for taking the challenge to be our partner in this field, because we spoke with your team, the team of the hosting organization today, the Silver Hunters, and you know, we were in the very early stage of what we were doing, so we were not really sure how to do it, right? And they, or you, I would say in this case, you took the challenge to join us in this process in which we are still, you know, brainstorming, conceptualizing, validating, taking steps left to the right. And what we're doing, I would say together, is something that is new, not yet done. It's a special thing starting from the e-residency community. And it requires a lot of courage, and I would say passion for risk-taking that we share in this journey together.
It's I'm happy that you mentioned our partnership because not only does Silverhunt help set up holdings, but also SPVs, and that's how we got to this partnership idea. So special purpose vehicles for angel investors or people who want to come together and invest to projects such as Emil's bloom coating, for example. But before, you have mentioned that there's a marketplace and it's growing, and Silverhunt is one of the members. Could you point out like how to pick a service provider and who should pick Silverhunt from this pool of many, many service providers?
I don't know, Federico, if you want to.
Which one of you wants to
I can
answer?
say a few words. First, of course, you could compare the quality and the money that you pay, and I'm sure that many startups, at least in their initial stage, they would go for an option that requires the least capital. But we have heard from many e-residents that some of the cheapest solutions in the market are not really the best ones. So this includes also the market there. So you need to be very careful. I would say ask for others for reference. Of course, there is this option to make the rating in the system of the marketplace, but I wouldn't say it's been very actively used until now. So this can give you just a partial, sometimes superficial understanding of who's who in the marketplace. Go and speak with the people. Like I would say a funny story how I met your team, but maybe you don't even know. But before having this business partnership, I met Kadri, who's one of the co-founders of Silverhand. Just randomly, we were having a few drinks with e-residents and Estonians, and I was really curious to try the different fresh, newly brewed beers in one of these famous breweries in Estonia. If they want to advertise, they could contact me and I'll mention their name, but I wouldn't tell you their name. And I was just heading out, and Kadri was there saying, "Promise me you won't go and swim." And I'm like, I'm not sure, you know. She was trying to rescue my life, really. A complete stranger that she never knew, she never met, but had maybe over 20 pints of Estonian fresh beer. So then this is a lot about the attitude that you could have in Estonia. I'm saying this especially to people that are not Estonian. Yeah, the business culture is different. Sometimes Estonia could seem cold or too open-minded, but there is this genuine good heart in most of the Estonians that I have seen, met, even people that you don't need to work with, right? So people that sell this woolen socks in the open market, or the people in the ice cream place. Then working with Silverhand is also related to this part, right? So first you start with a very solid ground of building trust, to know what you stand for, what you aim for. And I think once you really understand what the values of both sides are, and that you have this very strong foundations, and you know, okay, with these guys, we could go far, maybe not so far, but we could fall, we could rise, but we know that whatever happens, we, through our values, through our understanding of the situation, we could explain what's happening. And even if there is a failure or some kind of conflict that could happen in the future, it's possible that we could live through it because we share these same values. And I think this is also something that the e-residency community builds in. It's a set of values that people that join this community, whether it's e-residents, whether it's investors, whether it's service providers, they have a set of values related to transparency, to openness, to the rule of law when doing business, and to a minimum state that can provide the digital infrastructure, but is not going to exercise any pressure on the investors, startups, service providers. So this is what I would say is the philosophy behind what we are doing.
Yeah, I think feel free to answer, put any questions to the chat. I haven't seen any yet coming up, but I'm gonna check if there's any questions from people that registered for this webinar. One question that we got was actually about how long it takes. So just to give an overview, basically first step is always to get the e-residency card. And usually that process, depending on where you're gonna pick it up. So you always need to pick the e-residency card up from an embassy because you need to provide a digital, or not digital, like a signature or like your fingerprints. And this is the thing that makes you obligated to go to the embassy, and you cannot, unfortunately, order it to your home. So
Dagne, on
Yeah.
this point, I would like to underline that
Yeah.
this is a guarantee for you about who you're dealing with. So you already know that all the people that are in e-residency, that are in the e-residency are somehow
validated.
reliable people. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are reliable people. So that creates a trustable ecosystem. This is the foundation of the trustable ecosystem that we were speaking about before. So this is not a place for scam stuff or weird stuff. At least, of course, it can always happen. But the point is, the whole system is created in a way that it actually tries to minimize as much as possible this kind of events, and people participating in there are trustable people. So that's very important also for you, because once you maybe interact with some people, or maybe you are looking for some business partners or for some skills or services or whatever, you can have a certain basic trust already on the people you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually have a client who got the e-residency card or asked to get the e-residency card for his employees because he wanted the due diligence part, right? So it is really valuable. And once you get the e-residency card, so it can take up to 5 weeks. Once you get it, it's really simple. You can set up the company basically within 2 working days maximum. So it's the time when the business registry can tell you if the company is registered. That's really simple. We help with it. So based on the information the client provides us. We will fill out the form. The client will simply just need to digitally sign with the help of the e-residency card. And there you have it. The company is formed. The business registry confirms it, and you can start. Also, the VAT is always a question. It's also very simple. It's up to 5 working days. We register it, and yeah, you can start your e-commerce business or whatever you wish. So it's fairly simple, and people are a little bit suspicious. You know, how is it so fast? Like, what is happening? What's the catch? You know. So that's what I'd like to mention. Do you guys want to add anything? I don't see any questions coming up anymore.
Well, I think this webinar that you're organizing is also an example of how the cooperation runs in the e-residency community and how natural things happen. So I would like to thank you for the opportunity to invite us and to be working with you in this road ahead. And I wish everyone a lot of success for whatever idea you have. Reach out to fellow e-residents, check what they're doing, get some advice from them, ask them for some contacts, or who knows, maybe you're raising some funding, so someone in this community could be also your investor. And let's do a lot of great stuff. Let's contribute to the world with very good, growing, innovative startup ideas. We are around to help each other.
Yeah, that's awesome. So everyone, thank you for attending, and feel free to reach out to Silva Hunt as well if you have any questions about company formation in Estonia, accounting, or tax and legal questions, and also, as I mentioned, international tax questions, then we can help you. And of course, I will send a follow-up email to you as well with the recording and with the contacts of Emerald Foundry as well. If you have any questions to them, then feel free to reach out to them as well. So thank you so much. And yeah, we have, thank you, Alexander, for attending. Yeah. So have a nice day. And it's sunny in Estonia, finally. Okay, bye.